Chapter 28. He that revengeth shall find vengeance from the Lord, and he will surely keep his sins in remembrance. Forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he hath done unto thee, so shall thy sins also be forgiven when thou prayest. One man beareth hatred against another, and doth he seek pardon from the Lord? He showeth no mercy to a man which is like himself, and doth he ask forgiveness of his own sins? If he that is but flesh nourish hatred, who will entreat for pardon of his sins? Remember thy end, and let enmity cease. Remember corruption and death, and abide in the commandments. Remember the commandments, and bear no malice to thy neighbor. Remember the covenant of the highest, and wink at ignorance. Abstain from strife, and thou shalt diminish thy sins, for a furious man will kindle strife. A sinful man disquieteth friends, and maketh debate among them that be at peace. As the matter of the fire is, so it burneth, and as a man's strength is, so is his wrath. And according to his riches his anger riseth, and the stronger they are which contend, the more they will be inflamed. A hasty contention kindleth a fire, and a hasty fighting sheddeth blood. If thou blow the spark, it shall burn. If thou spit upon it, it shall be quenched. And both these come out of the mouth. Curse the whisperer and double-tongued, for such have destroyed many that were at peace. A backbiting tongue hath disquieted many, and driven them from nation to nation. Strong cities hath it pulled down, and overthrown the house of great men. A backbiting tongue hath cast out virtuous women, and deprived them of their labors. Whoso hearkeneth unto it shall never find rest, and never dwell quietly. The stroke of the whip maketh marks in the flesh, but the stroke of the tongue breaketh the bones. Many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many as have fallen by the tongue. Well is he that is defended from it, and hath not passed through the venom thereof. Who hath not drawn the yoke thereof, nor hath been bound in her bands? For the yoke thereof is a yoke of iron, and the bands thereof are bands of brass. The death thereof is an evil death, the grave were better than it. It shall not have rule over them that fear God, neither shall they be burned with the flame thereof. Such as forsake the Lord shall fall into it, and it shall burn in them, and not be quenched. It shall be sent upon them as a lion, and devour them as a leopard. Look, that thou hedge thy possession about with thorns, and bind up thy silver and gold, and weigh thy words in a balance, and make a door, and bar for thy mouth. Beware thou slide not by it, lest thou fall before him that lieth in wait. Chapter 29. He that is merciful will lend unto his neighbor, and he that strengtheneth his hand keepeth the commandments. Lend to thy neighbor in time of his need, and pay thou thy neighbor again in due season. Keep thy word, and deal faithfully with him, and thou shalt always find the thing that is necessary for thee. Many, when a thing was lent them, reckoned it to be found, and put them to trouble that helped them. Till he hath received, he will kiss a man's hand, and for his neighbor's money he will speak submissively. But when he should repay, he will prolong the time, and return words of grief, and complain of the time. If he prevail, he shall hardly receive the half, and he will count it as if he had found it. If not, he hath deprived him of his money, and hath gotten him an enemy without cause. He payeth him with cursings and railings, and for honor he will repay him disgrace. Many therefore have refused to lend for other men's ill-dealing, fearing to be defrauded. Yet have thou patience with a man in poor estate, and delay not to show him mercy. Help the poor for the commandment's sake, and turn him not away because of his poverty. Loose thy money for thy brother and thy friend, and let it not rust under a stone to be lost. Lay up treasure according to the commandments of the Most High, and it shall bring thee more profit than gold. Shut up alms in thy storehouses, and it shall deliver thee from all affliction. It shall fight for thee against thine enemies better than a mighty shield and strong spear. An honest man is surety for his neighbor, but he that is impudent will forsake him. Forget not the friendship of thy surety, for he hath given his life for thee. A sinner will overthrow the good estate of his surety, and he that is of an unthankful mind will leave him in danger that delivered him. Suretyship hath undone many of good estate, and shaken them as a wave of the sea. Mighty men hath it driven from their houses, so that they wandered from strange nations. A wicked man, transgressing the commandments of the Lord, shall fall into suretyship, and he that undertaketh and followeth other men's business for gain shall fall into suits. Help thy neighbor according to thy power, and beware that thou thyself fall not into the same. The chief thing for life is water, and bread, and clothing, and an house to cover shame. Better is life of a poor man in a mean cottage than delicate fare in another man's house. Be it little or much, hold thee contented that thou hear not the reproach of thy house. For it is a miserable life to go from house to house. For where thou art a stranger, thou darest not open thy mouth. Thou shalt entertain, and feast, and have no thanks. Moreover, thou shalt hear bitter words. Come, thou stranger, and furnish a table, and feed me of that thou hast ready. Give place, thou stranger, to an honorable man. My brother cometh to be lodged, and I have need of mine house. These things are grievous to a man of understanding, the upbraiding of houseroom and reproaching of the lender. Chapter 30. He that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end. He that chastiseth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice of him. Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead, for he hath left one behind him that is like himself. While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him, and when he died, he was not sorrowful. He left behind him an avenger against his enemies, and one that shall requite kindness to his friends. He that maketh too much of his son shall bind up his wounds, and his bowels will be troubled at every cry. An horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will be wilful. Conquer thy child, and he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he will bring thee heaviness. Laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow with him, and lest thou gnash thy teeth in the end. Give him no liberty in his youth, and wink not at his follies. Bow down his neck while he is young, and beat him on the sides while he is a child, lest he wax stubborn, and be disobedient unto thee, and so bring sorrow to thine heart. Chastise thy son, and hold him to labor, lest his lewd behavior be an offense unto thee. Better is the poor, being sound and strong of constitution, than a rich man that is afflicted in his body. Health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. There is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of the heart. Death is better than a bitter life or continual sickness. Delicates poured upon a mouth shut up are as messes of meat set upon a grave. What good doeth the offering unto an idol? For neither can it eat nor smell. So is he that is persecuted of the Lord. He seeth with his eyes and groaneth, as an eunuch that embraceth a virgin and sigheth. Give not over thy mind to heaviness, and afflict not thyself to thine own counsel. The gladness of the heart is the life of man, and the joyfulness of a man prolongeth his days. Love thine own soul, and comfort thy heart. Remove sorrow far from thee, for sorrow hath killed many, and there is no profit therein. Envy and wrath shorten the life, and carefulness bringeth age before the time. A cheerful and good heart will have a care of his meat and diet. Chapter 31. Watching for riches consumeth the flesh, and the care thereof driveth away sleep. Watching care will not let a man slumber, as a sore disease breaketh sleep. The rich hath great labor in gathering riches together, and when he resteth, he is filled with his delicates. The poor laboureth in his poor estate, and when he leaveth off, he is still needy. He that loveth gold shall not be justified, and he that followeth corruption shall have enough thereof. Gold hath been the ruin of many, and their destruction was present. It is a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice unto it, and every fool shall be taken therewith. Blessed is the rich that is found without blemish, and hath not gone after gold. Who is he? And we will call him blessed, for wonderful things hath he done among his people. Who hath been tried thereby and found perfect? Then let him glory. Who might offend, and hath not offended, or is done evil, and hath not done it? His goods shall be established, and the congregation shall declare his alms. If thou sit at a bountiful table, be not greedy upon it, and say not, there is much meat on it. Remember that a wicked eye is an evil thing, and what is created more wicked than an eye? Therefore it weepeth upon every occasion. Stretch not thine hand whithersoever it looketh, and thrust it not with him into the dish. Judge of thy neighbor by thyself, and be discreet in every point. Eat, as it becometh a man, those things which are set before thee, and devour not, lest thou be hated. Leave off first for manners' sake, and be not unsatiable, lest thou offend. When thou sittest among many, reach not thine hand out first of all. A very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured, and he fetcheth not his wind short upon his bed. Sound sleep cometh of moderate eating. He riseth early, and his wits are with him. But the pain of watching, and choler, and pangs of the belly are with an unsatiable man. If thou hast been forced to eat, arise, go forth, vomit, and thou shalt have rest. My son, hear me, and despise me not. And at the last thou shalt find, as I told thee, in all thy works be quick, so shall there no sickness come unto thee. Whoso is liberal of his meat, men shall speak well of him, and the report of his good housekeeping will be believed. But against him that is in regard of his meat, the whole city shall murmur, and the testimonies of his niggardness shall not be doubted of. Show not thy valiantness in wine, for wine hath destroyed many. The furnace proveth the edge by dipping, so doth wine the hearts of the proud by drunkenness. Wine is as good as life to a man if it be drunk moderately. What life is then to a man that is without wine? For it was made to make men glad. Wine, measurably drunk, and in season, bringeth gladness of the heart, and cheerfulness of the mind. But wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind, with brawling and quarrelling. Drunkenness increaseth the rage of a fool till he offend. It diminisheth strength, and maketh wounds. Rebuke not thy neighbor at the wine, and despise him not in his mirth. Give him no despiteful words, and press not upon him with urging him to drink. Chapter 32. If thou be made the master of a feast, lift not thyself up, but be among them as one of the rest. Take diligent care for them, and so sit down. And when thou hast done all thy office, take thy place, that thou mayest be merry with them, and receive a crown for thy well ordering of the feast. Speak, thou that art the elder, for it becometh thee, but with sound judgment, and hinder not music. Pour not out words where there is a musician, and show not forth wisdom out of time. A concert of music in a banquet of wine is as a signet of carbuncle set in gold. As a signet of an emerald set in a work of gold, so is the melody of music with pleasant wine. Speak, young man, if there be need of thee, and yet scarcely when thou art twice asked. Let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words. Be as one that knoweth, and yet holdeth his tongue. If thou be among great men, make not thyself equal with them. And when ancient men are in a place, use not many words. Before the thunder goeth lightning, and before a shamefaced man shall go favor. Rise up betimes, and be not the last, but get thee home without delay. There take thy pastime, and do what thou wilt, but sin not by proud speech. And for these things bless him that made thee, and hath replenished thee with his good things. Whoso feareth the Lord will receive his discipline, and they that seek him early shall find favor. He that seeketh the law shall be filled therewith, but the hypocrite will be offended thereat. They that fear the Lord shall find judgment, and shall kindle justice as a light. A sinful man will not be reproved, but findeth an excuse according to his will. A man of counsel will be considerate, but a strange and proud man is not daunted with fear, even when of himself he hath done without counsel. Do nothing without advice, and when thou hast once done, repent not. Go not in a way wherein thou mayest fall, and stumble not among the stones. Be confident in a plain way, and beware of thine own children. In every good work trust thy own soul, for this is the keeping of the commandments. He that believeth in the Lord taketh heed to the commandments, and he that trusteth in him shall fare never the worse. Chapter 33. There shall no evil happen unto him that feareth the Lord, but in temptation even again he will deliver him. A wise man hateth not the law, but he that is an hypocrite therein is as a ship in a storm. A man of understanding trusteth in the law, and the law is faithful unto him as an oracle. Prepare what to say, and so thou shalt be heard, and bind up instruction, and then make an answer. The heart of the foolish is like a cartwheel, and his thoughts are like a rolling axle tree. A stallion horse is as a mocking friend. He neigheth under every one that sitteth upon him. Why doth one day excel another, when as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun? By the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished, and he altered seasons and feasts. Some of them he hath made high days, and hallowed them, and some of them hath he made ordinary days. And all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of the earth. In much knowledge the Lord hath divided them, and made their ways diverse. Some of them hath he blessed, and exalted, and some of them hath he sanctified, and set near himself. But some of them hath he cursed, and brought low, and turned out of their places. As the clay is in the potter's hand, to fashion it at his pleasure, So man is in the hand of him that made him, to render to them as liketh him best. Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two, and one against another. I awaked up last of all, as one that gathereth after the grape gatherers. By the blessing of the Lord I profited, and filled mine winepress, like an gatherer of grapes. Consider that I labored not for myself only, but for all them that seek learning. Hear me, O ye great men of the people, and hearken with your ears, ye rulers of the congregation. Give not thy son and wife, thy brother and friend, power over thee while thou livest, and give not thy goods to another, lest it repent thee, and thou entreat for the same again. As long as thou livest, and hast breath in thee, give not thyself over to any. For better it is that thy children should seek to thee, than that thou shouldest stand to their courtesy. In all thy works keep to thyself the preeminence. Leave not a stain in thine honor. At the time when thou shalt end thy days, and finish thy life, distribute thine inheritance. Fodder, a wand, and burdens are for the ass, and bread, correction, and work for the servant. If thou set thy servant to labor, thou shalt find rest. But if thou let him go idle, he shall seek liberty. A yoke and collar do bow the neck. So are tortures and torments for an evil servant. Send him to labor, that he be not idle, for idleness teacheth much evil. Set him to work, as is fit for him. If he be not obedient, put on more heavy fetters. But be not excessive toward any, and without discretion do nothing. If thou have a servant, let him be unto thee as thyself, because thou hast bought him with a price. If thou have a servant, entreat him as a brother, for thou hast need of him as of thine own soul. If thou entreat him evil, and he run from thee, which way wilt thou go to seek him? Chapter 34. The hopes of a man void of understanding are vain and false, and dreams lift up fools. Whoso regardeth dreams is like him that catcheth a shadow, and followeth after the wind. The vision of dreams is the resemblance of one thing to another, even as the likeness of a face to a face. Of an unclean thing what can be cleansed? And from that thing which is false, what truth can come? Divinations, and soothsayings, and dreams are vain, and the heart fancieth as a woman's heart in travail. If they be not sent from the Most High in thy visitation, set not thy heart upon them. For dreams have deceived many, and they have failed that put their trust in them. The law shall be found perfect without lies, and wisdom is perfection to a faithful mouth. A man that hath travelled knoweth many things, and he that hath much experience will declare wisdom. He that hath no experience knoweth little, but he that hath travelled is full of prudence. When I travelled, I saw many things, and I understand more than I can express. I was oft times in danger of death, yet I was delivered because of these things. The spirit of those that fear the Lord shall live, for their hope is in him that saveth them. Whoso feareth the Lord shall not fear nor be afraid, for he is his hope. Blessed is the soul of him that feareth the Lord. To whom doth he look? And who is his strength? For the eyes of the Lord are upon them that love him. He is their mighty protection and strong stay, a defense from the heat, and a cover from the sun at noon, a preservation from the stumbling, and an help from falling. He raiseth up the soul, and lighteneth the eyes. He giveth health, life, and blessing. He that sacrificeth of a thing wrongfully gotten, his offering is ridiculous, and the gifts of unjust men are not accepted. The Most High is not pleased with the offerings of the wicked, neither is he pacified for sin by the multitude of sacrifices. Whoso bringeth an offering of the goods of the poor doeth as one that killeth the sun before his father's eyes. The bread of the needy is their life. He that defraudeth him thereof is a man of blood. He that taketh away his neighbour's living slayeth him, and he that defraudeth the neighbour of his hire is a bloodshedder. When one buildeth, and another pulleth down, what profit have they then but labour? When one prayeth, and another curseth, whose voice will the Lord hear? He that washeth himself after the touching of a dead body, if he touch it again, what availeth his washing? So it is with a man that fasteth for his sins, and goeth again, and doeth the same. Who will hear his prayer, or what doth his humbling profit him?